Hi there, it's Jonathan Quayle again for today's Lifebuilder inspirational quote, and today is a life hack, which means I'll be giving you something very practical to take away from your time and effort, which I appreciate you spending in watching this video, and if you got an email associated to this, or you saw it in a post on Facebook or YouTube, those as well. So the quote I've chosen today is from a lady called Byron Katie. You may be familiar with her. She had an awakening. She woke up when she was 43 back in 1986. She was a woman with 3 children. She was addicted to alcohol, codeine. She was overeating, and she was depressed. She had agoraphobia, which is a fear of open spaces, and so she wasn't in a particularly good state. She got checked into a woman's kind of counseling center, and one day she passed out. She woke up on the floor the next morning, and she just kind of had an epiphany. She just saw that really it was her thoughts that were causing her to suffer, and so from that epiphany, she developed process called the work, which is just a simple 4-step questioning process of inquiry to help you to inquire about the truth of any thought, and ultimately to question that thought and to turn it around. So the quote that I've chosen is by her. It's on thoughts, and that leads us nicely into the life hack, in which I'll talk about her 4-step process called the work. So she said, "A thought is harmless unless we believe it. It's not our thoughts, but our believing, but our attachment to our thoughts. Thought is harmless unless we believe it. It's not our thoughts, but our attachment to our thoughts that causes suffering. Attaching to a thought means believing that it's true without inquiring. The belief is a thought that we've been attaching to, often for years." Very, very well said. Because it's the truth. We have these ideas, we have these thoughts, and because we think them over and over again, and we attach to them, there's an emotional attachment. We think that somehow by thinking these thoughts, it's going to benefit us. But so often, if they're negative, it doesn't benefit us at all. And so we suffer, and we carry on suffering as long as we think these thoughts, and as long as we choose to believe these thoughts. So freedom from suffering, this is what Byron Katie saw through her own realization. She wasn't particularly spiritual at that time. She hadn't read any spiritual texts, but she uncovered the same truth that spiritual texts and spiritual masters have taught for millennia, that it's our thoughts, it's our thinking, and then how we feel about that, and our attachment to our thinking and our beliefs and the emotions that those generate. These are the things that cause us to suffer. And if we can just free ourselves from our thoughts, our long-held attached thoughts, our beliefs, then we can be free, we can be happy, and we don't have to suffer, irrespective of what's happening out there. So that was Byron Katie's key insight, and she went on to develop a 4-step process, which she called the work. It's helped thousands and thousands of people around the world just to start this process of inquiry, to start questioning their thoughts and their thoughts' validity, and then to be able to turn those beliefs around. So I'll give you talk about the 4-step process, and I'll give you an example of that in action. So the 4 questions are: first of all, you bring to mind a thought, usually a distressing thought or a stressful thought, and you say, is it absolutely true? Is it true? First of all, yes or no. If you absolutely know that it's true, you skip to question 3. But for most thoughts, that's not the case. So then the second question you ask yourself is, can you absolutely know that it's true? Yes or no. Then you move on to question 3, which is, how do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? So even if it's apparently true, so for instance, I'm in South Africa at the moment. Politicians are corrupt. Is it true? In this country, a lot of the time it is true. It's not always true. You can't generalize and say every politician is corrupt, but maybe you could say, in general, politicians are corrupt. Okay, can you absolutely know that it's true? Question that. No, you can't absolutely know that it's true, because not every politician is corrupt. You don't absolutely know for certain that that statement is true. Thirdly, how do you react? What happens when you believe that thought? So that's where it comes down to our personal reaction, and that's really what this is getting to. How do you react? What happens inside you when you believe that thought? So politicians are corrupt. You believe that thought. You feel like you're the victim, maybe. You're the victim of corrupt politicians. You feel powerless. You feel helpless. Maybe you feel angry, frustrated. Maybe you feel like you want some kind of justice. You want to go on a crusade. All these thoughts, all these emotions arise from a simple belief in that thought. But if you question that through the first two steps, you start to realize, well, actually, it's not always true. In fact, probably the majority of the time, it's not true. So why am I believing that thought? Why am I giving that thought so much power over me to create all these really negative emotions, which actually do nothing? So chances are I can't really do anything about it. I can't fix it. All it's doing is it's working me up into a state where I'm not happy and I'm not peaceful, and so my own peace of mind and my own health and well-being is being negatively affected by these corrupt politicians, which is to give them power over you. So you only give them power over you when you believe the thoughts that you think about them. That's one of the realizations Byron Katie had. Finally, the fourth question is, how would you be without that thought? Okay, so you've gone into how you feel about it. There's an awareness process there. Then you say, how would you be without that thought? Okay, so if I didn't think politicians were corrupt, or I didn't even think that thought, it never even entered my head, how would I be? Well, I'd be quite peaceful. I'd be happy. I'd be able to maybe just enjoy the moment. I'm sitting outside. It's a nice evening. The weather's getting warmer. Birds are twittering. Hey, if I don't think that thought, my present reality is quite pleasant, is quite happy. So once you've been through that questioning process, you started to undermine this foundational belief. You started to undermine the foundation on which that belief is built. And then you do a simple turnaround. Then you simply say, well, so I'm thinking that politicians are corrupt and that shouldn't be happening. So then I turn it around. I say, well, what if I'm corrupt? Okay, so that's a turnaround. Instead of projecting the idea out there, you taking responsibility. Say, well, what if I'm corrupt? Where am I corrupt in my life? What if they're not corrupt? Politicians are not corrupt. That's another turnaround of the statement. So you start to see the simple process. And you can do this for anything in your life, for any process in your life, any situation in your life that's bothering you. So for instance, let's say you don't think your husband or your wife listens to you. Go, Paul doesn't listen to me, as an example. Question 1. Is that absolutely true? Is that true? Maybe sometimes, but is it absolutely true? No, because there are times when he does listen to me. Okay, so you've already undermined that belief. Then the third thing is, how do you react and what happens when you believe that thought? So if I believe that Paul doesn't listen to me, it makes me frustrated, angry, upset. I want to make him listen to me. It brings up a whole lot of uncomfortable, difficult emotions that really sabotage my peace of mind. And fourthly, who would you be without that thought? Well, if I didn't have that thought, I'd be happier, be peaceful, I'd be more calmer, I'd be more centered in myself. I wouldn't be trying to change Paul. Okay, so now you turn it around. So you say, well, maybe I should be, instead of Paul should be listening to me, maybe I should be listening to myself. Or maybe Paul shouldn't be listening to me. Maybe a lot of the time what I say doesn't make sense. Or maybe I'm nagging Paul a lot. Maybe that's why he doesn't listen to me. Or maybe I should listen to Paul. That's another turnaround. So by asking those questions and doing the turnaround, you just really undermined that fundamental belief. And you started to see it from a different perspective. once you see it from a different perspective, you're really freed from that belief. You'll never be able to fully go back into that belief again. You just keep questioning your thoughts. Sooner or later, the false ones, the negative ones, will just simply lose their power. And you'll find that you're able to be a lot freer, a lot lighter, a lot happier, a lot more surrendered about life. So go and use it. I've included a link to some free information on the work. It's freely available. You can go download it and use this process to start questioning your thoughts and questioning your belief in those thoughts, undoing those beliefs, and just finding an ease and a peace and a happiness and a flow that you simply can't find if you believe all of your thoughts. So I hope that was a useful life hack and a quote. If you'd like to take this a little bit further, I'm actually doing a presentation on how to let go of any negative thought or emotion in minutes, and without using alcohol, drugs, or anything else, or having to fork out a lot of money for therapy. That presentation is happening on Thursday evening, 7 p.m. UK time, 8 p.m. South African time, for about an hour and a half. If you're interested, go and check it out, find out more information, and book your place at theaolg.online. You can see that URL on the screen. Just put in your details there. There's a form that will pop up. Put in your name and email address, and you're booked in. You'll get an email with simple instructions on how to join. It's an online presentation, in case you don't know what a webinar is, so you just need a computer or a phone or tablet and a reasonable internet connection to join. It's completely free, and I will be taking those attending through a simple breathing relaxation process and a 10-step letting go process that has elements of the work built into it, but it goes through a very systematic process to help you, again, to let go of any negative thought and find some peace and some freedom and some happiness beyond that. So check it out. Hope to see you then. Register if you're interested, and I'll catch you later in the week for my next Lifebuilder inspirational quote and reflection. Thanks for listening. Bye for now.